week's episode of Ushio and Tora. Tora goes claw to claw with the demonic queen, the beast spear is seemingly destroyed, and Inasa Kiryo's mother reveals herself as an avatar of the Hakumen no Mono. So much fighting, so much creepy imagery in this week's episode, so much badassery. This was a really great conclusion to this story right here, especially finally getting to see that one creepy lady Towaco transform in one of the avatars of the Hakumen no Mono. And just like the last one, they seem to have this thing going on where they actually have one of the tails of the Hakumen no Mono. Does that mean that we're actually going to see 9 of these guys, and this is just the beginning of the destruction? We're just going to have to wait and see. What I will say is this week's episode was really exciting, especially how it opened up with Tora fighting against Queen. Queen is a really weird yokai. I still can't even, really pinpoint what the hell he's supposed to be, but his powers are pretty ridiculous. He's really powerful, he can fly all over the place, and he can even send his body parts into the ground, which will erupt like these giant stalactite spikes, which actually completely impale all over Tora's body. And this leads to a scene where Ushio tries to save him, but he doesn't have the beast spear, and Tora is just completely confounded as to why he would do this. He just cannot accept the fact that Ushio sees him as a friend. But even Tora comments that something's not quite right here, but he is able to escape from this attack, and that's when both him and Queen start to fight against each other, with Queen using his black spikes, and Tora actually using his hair to attack. They even go toe-to-toe, grabbing each other's hands, and he does this awesome headbutt, which leaves a massive damage right in frickin' Queen's face. The rest of the episode follows Inasa and Towaco's group as they're getting ready to destroy the beast spear by tossing it into some molten lead. And the introduction of Towaco in this episode is so incredibly ominous, how all of a sudden you start hearing this cello music and she's just sitting in the corner, and then they just drop it right into the lead, and Ushio just starts flipping his shit. He's constantly trying to call for the spear, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, Towaco decides to start to reveal her true form, and then you have Ushio's father who just appears out of nowhere, and he uses this gold-spiked spinning wheel, and he throws it right at her, but she actually ends up grabbing it with her mouth, revealing her true form for the first time, which is basically just a creepy-looking naked lady with long black hair, a Hakumen no Mono tail, and lots of teeth. It's at this point in the episode that things start to get kind of insane, because now that everybody realizes that Towaco is actually a demon, everybody starts to get freaked out. First, you have Inasa Kiryo, who starts going through this, mental breakdown, realizing that his mother the entire time has actually been this weird demonic entity, and he can't even control himself. And then you got Ushio, who is tossed on top of the lead, which is now cooled. I honestly thought he was about to be thrown into some molten lead, and this scene where you see Girio's face actually start to emerge from the molten lead looks so incredibly awesome. It's so well animated and so disturbing, and that's when Ushio finally calls for the beast spear, which explodes out of this thing, and then he ends up having a battle against Towaco, which is not so much a battle as it is basically just a really tense standoff, because that one big golem robot thing just busts into the room. It's holding on to Hinawa and to Akiba Nagari, and it's getting ready to crush both of them, and apparently its biggest weakness is this word that it has on its head, which is called MF. And apparently if you get rid of the E, it'll suddenly just, shatter, and that's exactly what Ushio does. He just hits it with, the blunt end of the beast spear, and it just causes it to explode in this amazing explosion, which just looks so awesome. Now, surprisingly enough, after being stabbed in the shoulder by Towaco and even getting a few good hits in, it doesn't seem like Ushio was going to be the one to finish off Towaco. It actually ended up being Inasa Kiryo, who finally started to somewhat come to his senses a little bit when Queen finally decided to start protecting him, and he's actually the one who actually ends up finishing off his mother with the Elzar scythe, which honestly was pretty freaking brutal looking, the way it was just jetting out and just curling around her body as he just ripped her to pieces. And he even asked her one more time if she was actually the real mother. She said it was a lie. Inasa Kiryo is slowly losing his mind, and both him and Queen decide to leave, but I have a feeling that they're going to come back, especially after this big heroic speech that Ushio gave about the fact that they all need to work together. He's gonna need some friends. He's gonna need the help of all of the bald guys and all of the distinctive characters to take down the evil that is the Hakumen no Mono. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Ushio and Tora? A very simple but a very fun episode. A lot of cool things went down in this one, a lot of cool fights, but most importantly, it looks like Ushio is finally out of this weird, I'm so pathetic funk. This is something that a lot of heroes in anime series go through, where they reach a certain point, someone dies, or they fail in a mission, and they feel that they just don't have the power to do anything anymore. They feel that they're weak, despite the fact that all of the things they did previous were pretty freaking ridiculous, and sometimes it takes an event like this to sort of bring them out of the darkness, and that's exactly what happened in this episode. It's not so much that the Beast Spear was going to be destroyed that was upset for the Ushio, but he didn't want to lose the memories of Jimei and as well as Giryo. He wanted to save both of them, destroy the Hakumen no Mono, so that Giryo's soul can finally be freed. And honestly, that's a really nice thing. I really like that. Then you have Tora versus Queen. It was very short-lived, but I thought it was really awesome. Basically, Queen is not so much a bad guy as he's basically just going to be a rival to Tora, and I think we needed a character like that in the series. We needed another yokai who is similar in terms of stature and powers and abilities, and that's perfect because basically Inasa Kiryu and Queen are kind of like the more twisted, darker version of Ushio and Tora, so they really are good rivals, and you just know that they're going to team up later. Just look at the intro or the ending of the show. They're definitely going to play a pretty big role. I think one of the creepiest things about this episode, though, was getting to see Towaco in her transformations. She already looks really disturbing already as like a normal human. When you add all of those teeth and make her naked and give her that big bushy tail, she looks absolutely disturbing. Some of her facial expressions are just nightmarish. Try getting some sleep after this episode. I also really loved the imagery in this episode. If it wasn't just the creepiness of Towaco, it was the look of Giryo's face coming out of the lead. All of the action scenes looked pretty good, as short-lived as they were. Unfortunately, there still hasn't been an episode that has, like, really captured the energy of the opening of the series, like the first one and the second one. Like, the way they look when they fight in the intro just looks a million times better, and it wouldn't be the first time that an anime series would do this. The reason they make the intros look so cool is because they want to hook the viewer and be like, I want to check this show out. But I'm still sort of waiting for that episode that's going to go into that realm or do something that's a little more crazier. But everything's here still looked pretty clean and consistent, and it was just an overall exciting monster mash of an episode. Good animation, good artwork, lots of tense moments, some amazing music moments, some great imagery. This was a great episode of Ushio and Tora, and you should definitely check it out if you've been following the series, or if you're a fan of the manga version. I like this episode. I think a few moments could have been handled a little bit better, but I think this is still another pretty stellar episode of Ushio and Tora, so I'm going to give this week's episode a 4 out of 5. Check it out, Ushio and Tora fans! You might see something you like. But if you did watch this week's episode, please tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. Did you actually think that the Beast Spear was going to be destroyed in this episode? Come on, there's no way that was going to happen. What did you think of the battle between Tora and Queen? Do you really think that Queen could defeat Tora or vice versa? And what do you want to see from the rest of the series? Make sure to tell me in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!